Alright, so here's a quick video on how to install the heat and run bracket for the electric heater on the Jaguar 8.4. So first off, obviously everything's unboxed and open. Since both sides look the same, keep in mind that the one you're putting the bracket on is the regulator side, also the side that has the green cap on the waste tank. This is going to be the side that the heater sits on just because that's the side that the QD is on. So first off, what I do is I do have instructions, but you're going to want to measure from this line right here. If you want to get closer, there's a line in the tank right here, and that's where I kind of use it as a measuring point because it's the same on all of them. So if you look, I already have my marks there, but on the ruler, I already marked the ruler too. It's 1 5/8 inches down, and if you start, it's 1/4 inch out. Really, once you make one hole, you can actually line it up with the bracket and make sure they're good. But just to be safe, I always recommend measuring both sides, 1 5/8 and 1/4 out. So really, the next step now is to go ahead and drill that hole. It's very easy to drill into. The screws that we're using are number 14 self-drilling screws, and they're 1 1/4 inch. You can go longer, but this is just a good size that goes all the way through. The drill bit I'm using, since they are self-drilling, you don't need to actually pre-drill as much as a normal screw. So I'm using an 11/64 bit. Any drill works, and all you really got to focus on is just making sure the hole is straight. So I'm going to go ahead and drill. After you drill, I like to hold up the bracket and double check that the holes line up, which as you can see that they do. So now that we drilled the holes, the next thing we're going to do is take our 2 self-tapping screws, and what I like to do is just get them started in the hole. Since the drill hole that you drilled is a little bit smaller, you kind of have to hold it straight and kind of use the self-tapping to work its way. And it's just a 10mm bolt. So I hold it straight and get it started. At that point, it has a good amount of threads in, and then I just take them out. This just makes it easier, so once you actually put the sealant that we're going to put on these threads, it just goes in easy the first time, and then you're going to want to do that with both sides. Just make sure you can use different drill bits, but don't go too big because then the threads won't catch, and then you'll have problems like you'll have to seal it more, and then they'll strip and not really hold the bracket on as good. So I'll show you how to seal it real quick. What I do is I put the screws through the bracket. You're going to want to use the top hole in the bracket, not the bottom. And I take a silicone sealer. Right now I'm using black, but clear is actually the preferred one to go with. Doesn't really matter as long as it's a silicone gasket. Open that up. Really, I just wipe. Doesn't take too much, but just put a good amount on the end of the screws. Okay, now probably the most important step is to make sure you don't over tighten anything. Since it is going into plastic, it can strip easily. So what I do is, you don't want a whole lot of leverage. That's why I'm using a smaller wrench. You just go until you have a good amount of resistance like that. So those are good. Wipe away any excess, RTV or the silicone. And then now that your bracket's on, you're ready to go ahead and put the heat and run on. Here's the heat and run. Just hooks in like that. And then, as you'll probably notice, we have 2 female ends and it doesn't really hook up the way it is. So what I have is a male to male, just 90-degree adapter. All you do is put it in the end right here, and that'll make it so your heat and run hooks up. This is the easiest way to do it just because you don't have to undo any QDs or anything like that. and you can quickly switch between using heat or not using heat. Once that is on, another thing you'll notice is this has a male QD. Depending on how your solution line is set up, this can mess things up because you'll probably have a male-to-male connection, and that doesn't work. But instead of taking out this one, I would just leave this one the way it is because it is sealed and put together from the factory like that. So what I would do is just have an extra female QD, swap out your lines, and since this is the outlet, you just hook up your line and have a female-to-female line. Really, once that's there, you just go ahead, fill up the tank. Before you fill up the tank, probably wait for that silicone to dry, usually overnight depending on the one. This one is called 1 minute gasket, so it really only takes 30 minutes for it to be, you know, malleable and soft or hard. And then from there on, you just hook it up and go, and you're done.